Amy puts this picture of a morale that she found in the field.
A few people will be all confused if we.
You get to do it 3 times today.
3 times. One nation under God.
Well, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. One nation under God. Okay, it is 5:30. I'm going to call our first meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first we have in front of us our tax levy meeting agenda. So we are looking for a motion to approve the June 30th, 2025 public tax levy hearing agenda as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Any conversation? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, thank you, that's all 7. We are at the first opportunity or opportunity for citizens or delegations who would like to address the board. This is, right now, we're just on our tax levy meeting portion. But as a reminder, if you are coming to speak to us, we have a few key points to highlight according to our board policy 0167.3, public participation at board meetings. Individuals addressing the board are asked to state their name, address, and or your group affiliation. Shall direct all comments to the entire board, not staff or other participants. Shall not make personal attacks against a school board member or school district employee by name. Shall be limited to 3 minutes. Shall not speak more than once on the same topic unless all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. So anyone who'd like to come forward with this part? Okay, we will move on to the public hearing 2025 tax levy rate. Mary, you wanna?
You're up.
So this is the annual levy for the taxes. Sorry. The annual levy for the taxes for the non-homestead tax levy. Back in February, the district voted for a 18 mills, which was a renewal on our operating millage. We did receive a Headley rollback, so we are sitting at 17. Yeah, no, I lost the page. Goodness sakes. 17.9154 for our millage for this tax year. So these are for the taxes that are collected in the summer and the winter of 25. And they support the 25-26 school year. And then, hold on. Eric had asked questions at the workshop about the Headley rollback. And over the past, well, since 21, the Headley rollback has cost the district $407,546. So this is money that the state uses to balance out what we collect locally with the per pupil foundation allowance. It's part of the proposal A tax amendment. So when we receive a Headley rollback and we lose this money, the state does not make it up. They just look at the 18 mills because that's our responsibility to levy and collect 18 mills. So this is just a loss to the district every time we receive a Headley rollback.
Thank you. Anyone have any further Questions or comments for Mary? No. Public comments? We welcome any public comments. If anyone would like to speak regarding the tax levy rate. We'll be taking action on this during our meeting coming up. This is just this portion. Anyone have anything further before we wrap this one up? Okay. With nothing else, we will adjourn and roll into our budget hearing. It is, let's see, 5:35. We'll call this meeting to order and again ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I know. Okay, we have in front of us the agenda for the budget hearing, and we would entertain a motion to approve the June 30th, 2025 budget board meeting agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Anything? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, thank you. That was 7 yeses. All right, now here we are. Mary again, public hearing.
So there was, you'll see in the paperwork in the budget, there was a slight change in the general fund because I had to add additional funds for,
Oh.
the final for 24-25 final.
How's it going?
Thank you. Do you have enough? You need one more? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, we're good.
Thank you, sir.
Here you go, Eric.
There's only one.
So I had to make a small addition to the general fund for expenses for the pupil accounting area because we had to contract with Shauna Boyd from Alcona. She's their pupil accountant down there to finish out our end of the year reporting and CEDAS reporting and everything else. Unfortunately, Joe decided to resign, so we were left in a bind. And then for the long-range tech and long-range maintenance, which is why we have the week between the workshop and here, is to comb through everything and make sure it's perfect before it gets here for the final resolution. Long-range maintenance and long-range tech. I did not catch an error that was made in there and had to readjust everything because,
Sorry, a little bit louder.
Sorry.
I think it's because of air condition too, so.
Yeah.
Are we all the way up over there? That fan is so loud.
So I had to make corrections in the long-range maintenance and long-range tech because she accidentally placed the fund modification from this year into next year, and it needs to go in this year's budget so it rolls into the fund equity and then is budgeted into the next year. So that is now corrected, and I apologize for not catching that the first time around, but that's what that week is for, in between here and there. So we've got it now. And those are the only two things that were different. You'll see the same reports that you saw at the workshop. You'll see a report, this report, that is required to be uploaded to our website. And then you have the resolution that walks you through everything and shows you the fund balance that's available and the appropriations for the budget. I can read through the resolution if you want me to.
Would anyone like Mary to read through the resolution document? Okay. Yep. Thank you.
So you want to move on to 25, 26?
Perfect.
Okay, so because of the error made in the long-range maintenance and long-range tech, 25 and 26, for those funds both had to be corrected so that we had the correct fund equity carried over. So those are fixed now too. So there, if you compare the reports from last time to this time, you'll notice the differences.
Here's this.
But wait, there's more.
I make the same offer. I can read through the resolution for 25, 26 if you want me to.
I'm not seeing anyone asking for that.
Okay. So I did not have any board members bring forward questions via email or phone call or anything. The only question that was asked was Eric's question, from which I just went over with the Headley. So I don't have anything to report that way. But again, I would say, if you're ever confused or just curious or whatever, my door is always open. You give me a call, we can set up an appointment, or just drop by. I can help.
Any board members have anything further regarding those two? Okay, if not, we would welcome citizen comments regarding the budget. Okay, seeing no one coming forward, we can adjourn this meeting. Thank you. And now we will move into our regular meeting. And it is 5:43, and we will call this meeting to order. And once again, ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A few extra moments to review the consent agenda items. Anyone need additional time? We're ready to move on? Okay. We'll keep moving then, and we're looking for a motion to approve the June 30th, 2025 regular board meeting agenda as presented.
I have a question. Is the Coleman contract anywhere on the agenda? Or, because I know it was in your report that we, that, you know, if there people had comments. So I would think we'd need an agenda item for that. So I guess I would.
Sure, yeah, we had talked about either doing that or adding it to information through that portion, so either one.
Well, let's make it an agenda item.
Okay.
It's been a long time in coming. So I would move to approve the agenda with the addition under action items of the Coleman contract.
I'll second it.
So letter H.
Letter
Common contract. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the amended agenda made by Eric, second by Monica. Was that you? Yep. Okay, anything further? Okay. All in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, 6 yes and 1 no. Okay, reports and presentation. AI update.
Do you have copies? The TVs were a little.
She's,
We're done, okay. I don't know if you want to try the TVs or not. Give it a go, see. Steph, that one was really glitchy. Yeah, so just, it was like spazzed out a little over there.
Anyone have an extra one?
do we have one more by any chance?
Oh, it's coming.
Are we good, or do you know?
I still need one more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you need one? Do you need another one? Okay.
We're okay.
Okay, let's see if we can move it over. Good, okay. Okay. Well, good evening, everyone. Just kind of an update on where we are. We've been talking about artificial intelligence for a little while now. We actually had a draft policy come before you, I think it was October or November. It seems like it was forever ago. And what we've done since then is we've actually assembled a team that's working on artificial intelligence as far as what it looks like from a district perspective. What are we going to do, lay out the plans with it, and work with some folks. So we'll kind of get into that here just a little bit. So those of you, you kind of either know AI or you don't know AI. AI is one of those things, many of you probably use it all the time and you don't know it, whether it's in your phone, whether it's in your car, whether it's in your, all those things that are there. But everyone's at a different place. And this is kind of like when they say, when the internet came on board, for many of us, seems like it was a long time ago. But when those pieces came on board, it didn't just happen overnight, it took time. AI is a very similar thing, except it's actively learning and it's taking place at a very rapid rate. So really what we're going to do is kind of walk you through where we are right now, who the committee is, what our short-term and long-term goals are, and then what are we going to do as a district moving forward. So you can see this is our team members. We've been working together now since May, kind of a diversity of folks from K-12 as well as some of the different folks on there, including Andrew, who's our director of IT. And really, the whole idea was to get a mix of group or folks together that can really help look at this from a different set of lenses. Marie Meisel, who's with us here tonight, is one of those folks from an English perspective. A lot of times when you think of high school, first thing kids think of is, how am I going to cheat, right? How can I do this? How can AI do my work for me? That's a small component of what it is, but the reality is there's much more to it than that. So the goals of the team, working with Ashley O'Connor, who's our facilitator, works at the ESD, provide district some AI policy recommendations, which we'll be doing in the not-too-distant future. Work with teachers and staff how to use AI and what the expectations are, as well as the students. Then also things like plagiarism, what's the ethical use of it, what is right or wrong. We'll talk about things like at grade levels, is it appropriate at all grade levels, what are grade levels, what should they be doing versus high school versus Thunder Bay. Then also help guide and implement, because a huge component of this is also PD. Teaching folks not only what we have with the students, but the staff and also our parents in the community, what are some of those things that maybe they're aware of and maybe they're not. AI absolutely goes right along with our strategic plan. You could go through each one of these different areas, looking at academics and programs, whole child, personnel. Each one has a different component built into it, but again, it's not just one curricular piece, it's embedded throughout the program. So when you're thinking about that, what's it look like? So if you think of a student who maybe needs some individual supports, AI can help you with that. If you think of a student who's coming home at night, maybe needs some help with math because of the new math, or as many of us know, maybe a different math, the way that we learned it, is there a chatbot that can help with that? Then you get into things like, what's that look like? Is it accurate? Is it not accurate? What sites are safe? What's not? What should we use as districts? So all these things kind of are interwoven throughout this. But I think when you really look at the strategic plan, the styles in not only to one area, but actually all areas of the difference within each one of them. Really what I want to focus on only for a couple minutes of this is just telling you about what our game plan is, because I think this is the importance of what things are and where they're going with it. First meeting, again, was May 27th, and I'm not going to read all this to you, but I want you to kind of get an idea, a flavor of what things are and kind of where the team's headed moving forward. Our second meeting, we really got into it. We took a deeper dive into the pieces that are there, talked about leadership and vision, student use, technology use. We did some brainstorming in the sessions. What's that look like? What are some things that we believe as a team are important? What are some non-negotiables? And what are those things that maybe we need to take a different look at and see how that all intersects with something else? We looked at current policies and practices, and including, again, when you look at that, the potential policy that's out there, what's that look like? Policies might be different from expectations. Again, the policy might narrow it down, but when you get into the expectations, is the expectation going to be the same at Thunder Bay or for a fifth grader that it will be at the high school? Maybe it will, maybe it won't, and those are some of the things that we're unpacking with Ashley. We have a couple days coming up. We're going to be back together. We're going to continue the work from the 13th, as well as a big part of this is looking at guardrails. So when we kick off the school year, our goal is by mid-August, we'll be able to say, here's what we're using for now. What's this look like? What are the different types of AI? There's probably over 100 different things that are out there. Many folks are familiar with Meta, which I think pops up on our phone, Google, different aspects of that. ChatGPT is another big one. But what are we going to use as a district? What is compliant? What is okay to use? What is not okay to use? And we'll eventually tweak those throughout the course of the duration of this pilot program. But what we're going to do is have those in place so staff knows what they can use, students will know what they can use, and at what levels they'll be able to use it. We're not going to get into, okay, can you do this or can you do this? What we're going to do is provide these guardrails. And it's going to be the pilot group that should be developed and coming out in August. In the classrooms, they're going to be the ones that are actually going to take a look at what this is, how it works. Again, does this work better at Thunder Bay but it doesn't work so well at the high school? Do you need a stronger tool or a more powerful tool at the high school as opposed to fifth grade? And then again, what grades are specific or what is appropriate to use it? Maybe elementary isn't at first, and we've had those conversations. Maybe you start at the high school and you work backwards. So when you look at this isn't just a quick and easy. This is one of those things that's going to take time. And this, as you see up there, February 2026, as we roll out the process with this, with that we're going to have different staging points. We'll be coming back and we'll bring some of the folks with us, tell a little bit about where we've gone, what are we doing with it, what have we learned so far, because this is a learning process. Again, it's like when the web came on board, we all had to learn together. This is just happening at a very quick speed. And that's, that's okay. It's just one of those things we're going to be learning together with it. We'll be doing some checkpoints along the way, as well as we'll be doing some PD. We'll roll out some professional development with the staff coming in August, as well as with a much more detailed group, which will be our pilot group, which will be the teachers in the classrooms. They're going to have a couple days of training this fall, so we'll be able to work through that, some of the things and how that particularly works through with the curricular aspects, and then what do you do with that. March and June, the goal of next March and June will be to put full implementation after we visit where things are, what works, what doesn't work, do we have some better ideas, and then for really compress it from there. But again, as this morphs, as it changes, we know we're going to have to come back and really do some look at this with a different set of lenses. Ongoing, we're going to be doing some data collection to see where the students are, how many students are actively using it, what are they doing with it, how many staff are actively using it. Is it something we can use at a district outside of the classroom, maybe the secretaries? Is there different things we can do within that, maybe even the business office? We're going to update what's called our AI hub, which will be our point of place where teachers will be able to go one-stop shopping in a sense to get to their points and use these. And again, with expectations, these will be the sites that they're going to use if they're going to use AI within their classroom. We'll be developing, if you think of a stoplight, that's a very similar thing with AI right now, where red, yellow, green. If it's, let's say, an English class, the red would be you can't use AI at all. Yellow would be you can use it up to a certain point. And then green would be you can use it maybe as a brainstorming session or whatever you may need to help trigger that thought process. There may be another model that comes out and one that we're looking at now. And then after that, we'll come back to some updates again and kind of figure out what our next steps are from that motion. Down and dirty, real quick. I mean, that was the whole intent of this. Lots of things are going on. Our 2 days that are coming up in July are going to be heavy. We're looking at policies again. We're looking at what that looks like, how do they overlap with our current practices. Student handbooks, which we know those are going to be coming to you in the near future. We'll probably have some addendums to those because the time frame that we have, you can't turn it around that fast, so we want to be able to look at what those are. Once we instill what the expectations are at the grade levels, we'll be able to weave those back into it. Policy, again, we'll make some recommendations to you. I hope we'll have some recommendations to you at the next meeting. That's our game plan. We just have to see how far we get into that process. So a lot of stuff, a lot of things still going on. It really, the committee, it's a big drink of water. I wanted to put that on here. It really is a big drink of water. There's a lot of things that are going on. And again, in July, actually starting July 1st through about the 7th is when everybody rolls out their new upgrades and updates to AI. So we're thinking a lot of those things that we use, even like ChatGPT, a lot of the new things will come out. And then we'll kind of go from there. So our next meeting is going to take some time, those 2 days. But lots of things going on. It's exciting. It's busy. So again, just wanted to give you a snapshot. Think that we're not, this is all going on behind the scenes. We'll be bringing some more information to you. But if you have any questions you'd like to ask along the way.
I have a question.
Sure.
Have you heard reports of AI being, part of something that, let's say, a student is working with, or somebody's, I don't know if it's, I wouldn't want to say it's any specific brand, but just the AI coming back and saying something, really inappropriate or perhaps bad or dangerous to a person. Have you been able to substantiate any of those reports, and are you worried about that sort of thing?
Well, I think there's also, personally, no. Has that been out there? Sure, it's out there. If you look at, you can actually look at the news articles, and those things are out there. Whether it be a chat or a bot, you can have, honestly, I have to tell you, so if you look at this picture, I mean, that's a pretty good picture. So what did I do? I put it into ChatGPT and said, show me a teacher teaching high school math. And I mean, the clarity, when you really look at that, that's not a human being. That is computer generated. Mm-hmm. So when you start thinking of those things, how does it interact? Absolutely, and that's one of our concerns. What does this look like? Is it age appropriate? Is there filters? Some are wide open. Some don't have any guardrails on them. Mm-hmm. Those are the things we want to make sure that we can push those to the side and say, that's not for us. What are we doing here? But this, I think, also comes back to the community aspect. How do we educate our parents that might not be aware of these things that are out there, because they're out there. It's kind of like the web. There's the dark web, there's good things and bad things. I think AI is very similar to that. Again, but when you look at it, you go, wow, that sure looks like a real math teacher. It's not. So those are things that we also have to. It's kind of like hallucinations. It sounds like a funny word, but AI does hallucinate. It'll go so far and then it'll make up an answer. You can run 3 math problems to a certain point, and eventually what might happen, you might get the right answer, might have 3 totally different tracks to be able to get there, which one's right or wrong. So those are all those things that we want to be able to not only work with the students but the staff and say, how do you look at that, and what do you know, what is the difference between right and wrong? So there's a whole ethical side of that, sure.
It sounds like you're really rolling up your sleeves and getting into it.
Keep digging
So,
through it. so.
Yes, good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Poe, I have a
Yes, sir.
question. You kind of touched on it, you said that there's hallucinations, and I've had the opportunity to work with AI fair amount at this point, and, with the different platforms, there's open source, closed source, and like you said, sometimes you can ask the different sources the same question and come up with different answers. Has there been any consideration I think AI has amazing potential for benefit, but also an amazing potential for harm, depending on how it's used. And so I'm certainly not against it. I use it on a daily basis. But have we considered, or has there been discussion about like an institutional or organizational subscription for one of the platforms, so that you're not getting all of these variations? And so it's like, let's say, an approved APS GPT, so that all the students are using the same platform to help alleviate some of those issues. I know that that's available, and I was just wondering if those are considerations. And then even if that were adopted, the potential there is pretty profound, because we can look at anything from trends in test scores, reading scores, and it can pick up trends that we can't as humans. And I think there's also potential for improvement in student outcomes with that aspect of it alone. And then, of course, systematically for the district, from an administrative standpoint, too, there's great potential. But I guess that would be, I kind of deviated a little
I'll
bit.
go
My
backwards
question is
Yeah.
organizational subscription.
So that's one of the things with the guardrails that we want to be able to do, to say, here's our, and again, we might have one as a district, we might have two or three, depending on what it is. Not only what it is it FERPA, is it COPA compliant, which is it's for children under 13 that can use a web. So all those pieces that go into it, and then what are we going to do as a district to say, okay, who is going to have that ability to use it? Because we want to make sure it's the right product. That's at our next meeting, we're going through and assessing, I think, about 40 different sites, seeing what's there, what's not. And Ashley's already peeled some of them back, so we know which is closer to where it is. But that's one of the discussion points that will come up. Are we going to do this? And if we do this, do we do that just for our pilot teachers at first? Do we say, here's where it is? Do we do it holistically and say, here's what you can have, but you're only going to be X and Y, everything's blocked out? So that's part of that next conversation. But absolutely, that's the game plan, to be able to put those together, whether it be 1, 2, or 3, and then figure out from there what's going to work and truly work in the best interest of the students and staff. The other side of that, I think, is just, it's morphing. And like you say, it changes. But I'll tell you, data analysis, if you like data people, it's phenomenal. I mean, you can upload things into it. Again, take it for what it's worth. Fact checking, they say about 60 to 65% of it you want to fact check, but at the same time, if you're really crunching data and you want to put the information in there and see what it is and how it operates, and then facilitate it in different patterns, yeah, it really is. It will make our lives easier, but again, given the guardrails that you have to follow that are there, it is a machine, but you just want to be able to manipulate it in a way that works for you.
No, I think it's a great idea to put it out in the schools. It's going to be all around us, so we might as well teach our kids how to use it. With what I think you're saying, Eric, is like you can ask the same question even on the same AI, and it will, every time you reopen it, it could ask you it or give you a different answer. However, I think by the time that we even roll this out with the kids, it will be changed from exactly where we are. But I just think that this is interesting. But Futurism put out an article June 28th, and it's people are being involuntarily committed, jailed after spiraling into ChatGPT psychosis. Just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Which I believe.
There's,
but
yeah,
I mean, so like guardrails are super important because
Sure.
the kids can get, like, they can spiral and then it starts coming up with, I mean, it's going to change by then, but it's
Here's a good
interesting.
example to kind of piggyback on that. We had a training that took place, it was right before school got out, and it was during our PD, and we wanted, Jenny Pulley said, well, I want to take these notes, I want to consolidate them. Great, so she consolidated them. And she said, after I consolidated them, I thought, well, that's fine, that's kind of robotic. Now I want to turn that into something where people can use it, do it in a presentation. Okay, so she did it into a presentation, that's fine. Then she said, no, I want to make it into a podcast because I think people, if they're out running or something, maybe they just want to pick this up. Boom, it spit out a 7-minute podcast. When you hear the voices on there, you are talking to each other. It is, first thing she did was, here, listen to this. I'm like, wow, who recorded that? She said, it's not real. But the interesting thing was, when you look at the research that we pulled off and that we used off our, the reflections from the staff, it was our language. Those were our responses. And then you can also stage it, so again, you can have those interactive conversations, so you can ask it questions. Again, odd, creepy, however you'd like to do it, but at the same time, the ability to take really a day of PD, synthesize it into 7-minute podcasts for folks that are on the move, there's something to be said about that. But it is, it'll be interesting over the next few years to see where it goes. So, poof, right? So, any others? We'll look for us again in probably a month or two, and we'll have some more updates, if not before. So,
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Raymond Employee Engagement Survey, when you're ready. 5 my way.
All right. So we administered the Raymond Pulse survey. I believe in April we did that. And so we received our results back towards the end of the school year from Cheryl Cooch, who's our Raymond representative. She is willing to, I was going to try to have her here June or July, but the dates don't work out. So I wanted to share this with you, and then we'll bring her back, if you want, and she can walk through in greater detail. She's willing to do that. So I will go through all of this, and then if we have questions for Cheryl, we can certainly pass those on to her. So, for those that aren't familiar with Raymond, the point they make is that the data is relative. So the favor of or disfavor of any data point is relative to 4 to 5 main factors, and no one data point stands on its own. So you want to look at it through our goals, and I'll touch on those in the next slide, where we've been spending our resources and actions. Then the Gallup and industry comparisons, trends or improvements, how you've improved over the last year or since the last survey, if applicable. And then organizational or departmental factors such as newness of employees, reorganizations, turnovers, things like that. And they just recommend don't fail to look at all the data for all the groups. Assume you know exactly why a data point is what it is without reviewing the data, and that is very difficult because you want to jump right to, I know why that is. Dismiss a data point or group as nothing we can do about that. You don't want to fail to investigate further, so looking at groups, if causes and or actions aren't evident. You do not want to pit groups against each other. You need to be more like that group. And not all see all the data as a gift, especially the critical feedback. It brings gaps to your attention, even if it doesn't feel great. So going back to our survey again, we administered what's called the Q12 survey, the full survey back in January of 24. And from that, Raymond's assessment was that we had great response rate, there was great candor in the comments, the mission and meaning of the work was especially strong with the teachers, we had basic needs were clear, expectations were clear, and there was a lot of camaraderie relationships within the job groups. So then the engagement opportunities, we turned them into our goals this year, was intentional relationship building with leadership, more and consistent and targeted communication, more regular and wide-scale recognition, trust building / management support, and more time with leaders. So we won't be looking, well, yeah, actually, we'll look at this. This is called a heat map. And so they just kind of walk through the way you want to look at the data. And we'll go through this when we get to those slides. But basically, you can look at, categories up and down. They're color coded that way. Yellow is the lower rating, or pea green, whatever you want to call it. Darker green is the higher ratings, and so forth. And then you can look at all of these different categories on one sheet and see how they relate based on the different questions and things. So just a little timeline. And this is my timeline, not Raymond's. But so we administered the Q12 last January. We received the results in February, and then in March and June, Raymond came to speak with the board, and then we met administrators, rolled it out to all the different employee groups, and held special staff meetings at each of the building to share the results. And then in August, our administrative team engaged in a book study, the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. And then we took that learning, and each building identified what that plan would look like in their building to address recognition was the primary goal, but those points that we talked about on the previous slides. All right, so then the difference between the two surveys. For the Q12, we had identified 517 employees that are directly employed by the district. Now, we've got NEMSCA, we've got AMA employees, and anyone else who, people come into the buildings but may not be directly employed by us. We wanted to hear directly from our employees. So last year, we identified 517. There was 377 that participated, which is a rate of 73%. This year, we had 537 identified, and so did we add 20 staff members? Don't really know. It was a different HR director that gave us the numbers last year for total staff. Again, it was back in January. It is possible we had dipped down to that number at that point in time, but that's one of those where just don't jump to the conclusion that we've added 20 employees in that process. Again, it just comes back to when we collected that data. But so this year, with 537 employees, we had 329 responses, which is 61% of what we had expected to do. So then I just wanted to, this is my slide, not Raymond's, again, just kind of breaking it down. Same thing that you see there, but I added the pulse percentage rate compared to the Q12. So there was 104% staffing, so we increased staffing by 4%, and then the number of responses was 87% of the previous year's administration. Okay, so this is a Raymond slide. And so at the top there, again, that's the slide we just looked at. But then it breaks it down into the location, so we can see the number of responses per location on the Q12, and then the pulse is in that second column there. So we broke it down by location, by job category, and then by length of service. And not to go quickly, but then I broke each one of these down a little bit differently so you can look at them. So this is the same that you see on this slide, the location. Again, just kind of comparing it. We had 107 responses at the high school on Q12. The pulse, we had 82, which is 77% of previous year's responses. And again, I just color-coded it to give you an idea. You can see that the number of responses at central office and Lincoln increased this year, 24 to 26 at central office and 13 to 14 at Lincoln. A couple of them stayed stable, and then you see the transportation department, 11 people filled it out last year, 7 did this year. That's 64% of the responses of last year. Again, we can look at, why and who and all of those. And this is just based on those that answered the survey. Same going back to this chart, now looking at the job categories. So again, you can see that office assistants, it's 121% of the responses that we received last year, so 4 more than last year. And then bus drivers, attendants, looks like that went down from 10 to 6 this year. And then again, third way of looking at it, years of service. Again, lots of things. People could have been 1 through 5 last year, and now they're in 6, and so that those kind of things could impact the differences in numbers. But again, just showing you how they related to last year's responses. So code, and you have black and white copy, apologize, but the idea is that it's color-coded in green, and then the numbers, if they hit the 75th or higher percentile, that the text inside the color coding would be in white language, or white font. Any questions on any of that so far? So we have only looked at it as an administrative team one time. We've had some other conversations. Our plan, as we'll talk about going forward, is we're now going to, and we rolled it out to our administrative team. Then it's going back to our employees again and saying, here's the results this time, and building action steps about it. So, all right, so the question in the Q12, or I'm sorry, the Pulse survey, we asked, I feel proud to work for my agency. So when you see that current mean, the responses are 1 through 5. 1 is strongly disagree, 5 is strongly agree. And so the average of the 327 responses were 4.09. And so that 29th percentile rank is based on Gallup's North America sample, which I think is around 6 million responses. And it comes from every industry. It's not education specific. So for any organization that administers the Raymond Engagement Survey, that's where they come up with that 29th percentile. So what that means is we are better than 29% of the companies. So we'll show some examples of, that's not where we want to be. We saw that same sort of thing last year where our percentile rankings were low, but we'll go into a little detail of how they move and kind of express, look at that in a few of the later slides. Below that is the distribution. So 1% of the people indicated they strongly disagree, and then 36% say they strongly agree with that. And I'll go into a little more detail in a bit. So then same thing, location, jobs, lengths, you can see how their average is. So the average of those groups, how they compare to others. And so Sunset at 4.80 is the highest. And then looks like transportation 3.71 is the lowest there. And so we also have to take in consideration the number of responses at each location. Did they click that they were at the right location? There's lots of factors that go into this. But essentially you look at it and say, okay, your exemplar is Sunset. What can we do to replicate that? And the most challenging area is transportation. What can we do about that? And those are the conversations that come with our administrative team going forward. Same thing with jobs, 4.62 for admin is the highest, down to 3.50 food service. And just looking to how this was interpreted last year, the These are self-reported numbers. This is not a judgment on our employee groups. It's how they receive or reported their experience. And then length of years, so 31 plus years is the highest at 4.31. And then it looks like 3.83 at 21 to 25 years. I'm sorry, 16 to 20 is 3.33. And I do, sorry, just want to jump, yeah, okay. So in a couple of slides, I'll go back to a little bit more detail on these. Okay, so then the frequency and type of recognition I received is good for me. The average mean is 3.4. This is not a question that is in the Q12, so there's no percentile ranking. 323 people responded to it. It adheres to distribution. And then here's the distribution. And apologize, this is Raymond's slide, so that's why the coloring is off, but we'll get you with the proper coloring. So again, Sunset is high, transportation is low, at will or admin is high, and bus driver attendant is low, and 3.66 at 6 to 10 years, and the low is 16 to 20. This is a Q12 question, so we asked it back in January and again this year. In the last 7 days, I've received recognition or praise for doing good work. The mean is 3.23. 316 people responded to that, and that puts us at the 24th percentile rank. And then here's this year's distribution. And again, this is very small, so I've got it on the next couple of slides here. This is last year's distribution. When we look at overall, last year we were at a 3.06 on this question. This year we're at a 3.23. So that went up. So then, because we did this 2 years, I just wanted to again highlight the difference between the 2 years broken down in each of the categories. So overall, we went up by 0.17. Again, this is on a scale of 1 to 5. The distribution last year, we were at 22, 18, 16, 21, and 24. From strongly disagree over to agree. Last year, we were at the 19th percentile. This year, we've moved up to the 24th percentile. 24th percentile. And this -2 is, last year, 22% said that they strongly disagreed with this. It went down by 2% to 20%. This one went down by 5%. Neutral went up by 1, and then agree went up by 2, and strongly agree went up by 2. And we went up 5 percentile rankings. Broken down again, Q12 last year at the different buildings, the job groups, and years of service. See a mixture here. Some went up, some went down. So again, we start just by looking at, in that particular location, in that particular job class, or in the jobs, who's high, who's low. And then you can also look at the difference between the years. And so this was a goal area, more regular and wide-scale recognition, and that's why we did the 5 languages of appreciation at the beginning of the year. Next question, at work, my opinion seems to count. Again, this is a Q12, so we have last year's data. This year, 3.44, 326 respondents. And you'll notice the number of respondents changes. So is that they just skipped over it by mistake, or they specifically chose not to answer it? But at the 21st percentile. Now, this one is, we stayed the same. Overall, 3.44 on the Q12 and 3.44 on the Pulse. And you can see the differences. And so we just kind of highlighted this. You may recall some of the transportation numbers on the previous questions. Yet we saw a significant jump in, my opinion seems to count at work, from 2.6 to 3.57. Then it broke this down again, same way. So no change overall. Here's the changes per group. And so we had the distribution kind of moved to the disagree side. So we were at 9% strongly disagreed last year, and then 11% strongly disagreed. So that's an increase in that category of 2. Disagree was an increase of 1. Neutral remained the same. Agreed remained the same. And then strongly agree increased by 1. And the percentile was we went down by 1. So again, our rating stayed the same, 3.44 both years, but our percentile went down, and it's likely because of the distribution of the answers that skewed slightly towards disagree. Another question we asked both surveys, there's open communication through all levels of my organization, 3.22 this year. Percentile rank is 26 and 375 responses. Last year's average was 2.96. This year's was 3.22. Here's your distributions. I'll go into that on the next slide. Ready to switch? So, same format, 2.96 to 3.22. That's an increase of 0.26. Here's the differences through the different locations and job classes and years of service. And then 24 responses. Strongly disagreed was 18%. This year was 11%, so a decrease of 7. Disagree was a decrease of 4. Neutral increased by 3. Agree increased by 7, and strongly agreed by 1. Increased by 1. And that resulted in an 8 percentile gain. So again, if you look at the change of 2.96 to 3.22, it results in making 8 steps in the percentile ranking. And then this is just some of the reports that we get. The idea is you can then look at everything that had Q12 ratings. And you can not only look, again, down the line, but you can look across, and that's where the real conversations start of why is one group this way and the others here, and what can we do to respond to that. So then they had, we did open-ended questions on both the Q12 last year and on the Pulse this year. And so one of the questions was, what changes have you seen since we conducted last year's engagement survey in January 24? And Cheryl Cooch can talk about this more, but this is Raymond's AI summation analysis of it. They run all of the responses through, and so this is what it picked up. So new initiatives, again, what changes have you seen? Strategic plan implementation, enhanced safety measures, revised disciplinary procedures, new staff positions, and leadership changes. Administrative engagement, so increased visibility of central office staff in buildings, more administrative presence and accessibility, better feedback and recognition systems, implementation of strategic plan initiatives, and staff recognition and support, introduction of staff shout-outs and appreciation programs, more positive feedback from administration, better HR department responsiveness, okay, and improved professional development opportunities. And again, what's this doing is it's looking through all of the open-ended responses to this and categorizing them. Communication changes, improved district-wide communication, especially during emergencies, better transparency in decision-making processes, enhanced engagement with families and staff, and more frequent updates from administration. And then areas of continued concern, persistent behavioral challenges with students, workload management issues, mixed feelings about administrative support, some staff reports seeing no significant changes, and concerns about school board dynamics. This then gives you sample comments. It's obviously not all of them. You do see there are 226 comments to this question. The next question we asked was, what can we do to continue to make our workplace a better place to work? 215 responses here. And again, their text and analytics came up with communication. Need for improved communication across all levels. More timely and transparent information sharing. Better inclusion of all staff groups in communications. And regular updates and clear expectation. Staff support and recognition. More meaningful recognition beyond token gestures. Better support for dealing with student behaviors. Additional professional development opportunities, and more administrative presence and visibility. And so you kind of pick up on some contradictions between the two. Compensations and benefits. Again, this is what can we do to make our workplace a better place to work. Competitive wages, especially for support staff. Better benefits packages, retention bonuses, and equal pay for equal work. Workplace culture builds stronger sense of community, more team building activities, better staff morale initiatives, and improved collaboration between departments. And then student discipline, clearer discipline policies, better support for handling behavioral issues, more consistent consequences, and return of in-school suspension program. And again, some of the samples of the actual responses. So this is again Raymond's summation, I guess. Overall, respondents have recognized and appreciated the efforts and actions that have been taken. Progress has been made. Improvement in administration visibility and communicated was noted. Great improvements with the teacher group in particular. And respondents appreciate the changes and would like to see continued and more efforts to communicate and support, and consider additional conversations with the transportation group. And so, again, next steps, review the data in detail and discuss as a group, and that really is multiple groups because we want to go out to the locations, to the employee groups, and the administrative team is in more depth. Share the summary of the data with your administrators and employee population. That's what we're doing now, and we'll build that plan in as we return, staff returns in the fall. And then consider a full engagement survey for comprehensive trending in the near future. Bit of a sales pitch, but I would, I would agree that I think this has been informative. And so our original contract was the Q12 and the Pulse. And so, we'll talk about this later, but I would suggest that we plan to do it again this coming year. Maybe 2 years. I think, Eric, you had said mental health does it every other year or something like that.
That's
or-
right. I think
so,
that's what I remember.
yeah. But it really, it's been useful, I think, to our staff and everyone. It at least gives us something that is trusted and proven, and we can, in my opinion, we did a good job taking action based on those results. So it'd be good to continue tracking this.
Is the Q12, when it says consider a full engagement survey, is that the Q12 or is that?
Yeah.
That's the Q12?
Yep.
Yeah, so just they're recommending, hey, you might want to do that deep dive
Yep.
again.
Yeah, and so that's the Q12. Those are the 12 core questions. And then we added on, I think, 4 or 5 questions to it, and then some open-ended. And then the Pulse survey, I didn't count, but it's much fewer questions. It's a quick one. So, yeah, they're saying do the whole Q12 again.
Okay, thanks.
Just had a couple observations that I found quite interesting. Obviously, we look at the transportation numbers, which are lower than we would like them as compared to the other groups, and that was part of the next step was to address that. However, I think it would also be interesting, and they didn't make note of, recognizing Sunset as excelling in all categories, and why not identifying what they are doing right, to see the good as well as what's not. The other thing that was somewhat interesting to me, and this is not a critique on anyone, but when you look at My Opinion Matters or communication, administration marks those numbers quite high as to where those other service groups are much, much lower. And when you have communication from a administrative standpoint that isn't equating to the people that are in different groups recognizing that, they're going to rate themselves very high, but that's not being communicated. There's a disconnect there. And so those are just some of the observations that I picked out of that information.
Yep.
The 16 to 20-year group, is 12 respondents in that group? Is that, did I pick that out correct? It's on the heat map page, Dave.
On the last one?
Heat map? Yeah. Okay, so that's actually a relatively small possessed portion of our,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, and did I compare it last year's numbers? I don't think I did that way. I can certainly go through and, again, how many were in that group last year versus this year.
Just, that was they were one of the least satisfied out of the length of service. So I was curious how, is that a large chunk of our people or is it a small
Yeah.
portion? I guess the observation I'm making tonight seems that people that are least visible are the least satisfied with. So it's the folks that
The
are
behind the scenes.
behind the scenes people are not feeling the love.
Yeah.
They don't probably feel the, they don't get the warm, fuzzy thank yous from families and
Yeah.
the kids, but they're the ones really that, make the district function.
The guy cleaning the bathrooms is not happy.
Yeah.
Is there a way to actually see all the comments instead of just the sample comments I generated?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we get a tremendous amount of reports from them, and that, again, will be part of our plan going forward. It does list every verbatim. We can break it down verbatim by location, verbatim by years of service, and location, so that is one of the great things. You can really start to dig down and see We were just looking in our initial look of, communication, or central office presence has increased, and then there is a specific comment. I haven't seen anyone from central office all year. So, we just wanted to kind of see where that was, did we miss something and all of that. So you can't find out who wrote that, but you can find out where it came from. And it was not where we thought it would have come from, location-wise. And so now that's a great time to talk about, how did we get that? And so again, I just want to reiterate, we cannot track anything back to an individual. They don't provide us anything. If there's, has to be 4 responses in any one particular cross-reference for us to actually see
So if it said
it.
like janitor at Besser, you would never get down that because there's not 4 custodial members, right? So,
So we might find that person in the, 6 through 10 years because there's more people in that group. But they really prioritize confidentiality. So anyway, the answer to your question is yes, we have all of that.
I have another question. I mean, this is fantastic data. I guess my question is, now what do we do with it? As far as implementing measurable goals and outcomes, I mean, we've obtained the data, we recognize trends. Now what do we do with it?
So we will replicate the same process with our administrative team, and everyone's going to need to identify their own Raymond goal of what are you going to do in response to it. One of the big questions we had was we don't know what improvement looks like. Having just administered the Q12, we didn't know if a 10-point jump in percentile was realistic. We didn't know, could we move 1 full point on the average or that. So now we kind of have that. We see what's potentially possible, and we can then start to put some numbers to that. And again, we want to not just increase. How much do we want to increase by? Yeah.
Something measurable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But, that work comes from rolling out to our administrative team, sitting down with their staff, building that plan. Again, replicating what we did this year, back in August. We'll do the same thing.
anyone else? Okay, thank you for that. And now we are at our first opportunity for citizens or delegations who would like to address the board during our regular meeting. I won't go through the policy again. I know we went through it once, and so here we are. So, public comment.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Heath. I'm a resident of Ossining, and I'm here to talk today about this thing called a computer in your hands. This thing is so powerful compared to what we had even 20 years ago. It's amazing. And right now your school is doing failing about 34% of your reading and math scores. It's terrible. Okay, I think you guys have lost the picture. It's too much social and emotional and not enough reading, writing, and arithmetic. We don't teach cursive anymore. It's gone. You don't have books in the classroom anymore. If whatever they read on the screen is it, any totalitarian can put whatever's on the screen and that's what they're going to teach. You're not teaching critical thinking when you have this in front of you all the time, and it's more AI and more AI. And you guys didn't really do a good job rolling out the internet and all the social media sites. Your junior high students are going crazy with transgenderism and dysphoria, gender dysphoria. So what's going to happen when you do AI? AI can lead your kid right down that transgender road. It's already doing that, okay? So you need to be damn careful what you do with AI in this school. It's great for administrative stuff, but you need to be really, really careful what you give our children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Kramer. I live in Alpena, and I'm an employer for many years as a carpenter contractor in Detroit. And I've seen the degradation of the ability of the people that we employed to go down so dramatically over the years, beginning with cell phones and computers. And these people, they want to get a job, they want to make a living, but they can't think. If you don't have a cell phone in front of these people, they can't do anything. So AI is appropriate for adults and maybe some management considerations, but if you let children use AI to teach themselves, give it up. We're done. And it's the stupidest thing you could possibly do to our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello all, Marie Meisel. I live here in Alpena and I am a proud teacher at the high school. I really appreciate you guys going over the survey. And this is kind of a general statement for everyone in the room. You may not have liked them going over the survey. I hear the huffing and puffing through the whole thing. But as an employee, it's pretty darn important to me because I want to know what's happening. And I really hope, I appreciate that you ask, what are we doing with this data? I really hope you sit down and you read all of those comments and really read them. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we will move on to our action items. We have the approval of the consent agenda items in our packet. We have the May 19th, 2025 regular meeting minutes, May 19th, 2025 closed session minutes regarding a personnel matter, May 24th, 2025 special meeting minutes regarding the ice storm, June 16th, 2025 special meeting minutes regarding the asphalt, June 23rd, 2025 workshop meeting minutes. And I would welcome a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Anything else? Okay, not all in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, thank you, that's all 7. All right, moving on to our additional business requiring board action. Here we are to the consideration of the 2025 tax levy rate, Form L4029. I would welcome a motion to approve Form L4029 to enact the 2025 levy operating millage of 17.9154.
I would offer that motion.
Support.
Okay, we'll have anything further on this before we do a roll call? Okay, thank you, Summer.
Member Fritz?
Aye.
Member Lawson?
Aye.
Member Costain?
Aye.
Member Hanson?
Aye.
Member Dzinski?
Aye.
Member MacArthur?
Aye.
Member Meinhardt?
Aye. Up next would be the 2024-2025 General Appropriations Final Budget Amendment Resolution.
Do we need to read the?
It's, well, I can read it too. Motion to.
No, I meant
oh.
the, what Mary gave us, because isn't that what we're approving? I mean, do we have to read that for public? Or just submit it?
I don't think we typically read the whole thing. Did we?
I just put as presented, so.
Yeah, that's what she'd offered. to see if
Okay,
she
I just
wanted
didn't know if
read
we
it
had to
off
do
or-
it as we voted. I move to adopt the preamble and resolution of the 24-25 general appropriations final budget amendment resolution as presented.
Aye. Or second.
Anything else?
Does this go on a website somewhere? So this does get posted, so nobody has to FOIA this to get
Correct.
get
It's
a look
under the
at it.
transparency section on the front of the website.
Very good, thank you.
Yep. Okay, go ahead and do a roll call. I think we're set.
Member Lawson,
Aye.
Member Jazinski,
Aye.
Member Hanson,
Aye.
Member Costain,
Aye.
Member MacArthur,
Aye.
Member Fritz,
Aye.
Member Meinhardt.
Aye. Thank you. Carries. Up next would be the 2025-26 general appropriations budget.
I move to adopt preamble and resolution of the 25-26 general appropriations budget resolution as presented.
Support.
Anything further? Okay, we're ready for a roll call again.
Member Jazinski,
Aye.
Member Hanson,
Aye.
Member Costain,
Aye.
Member MacArthur,
Aye.
Member Fritz,
Aye.
Member Lawson,
Aye.
Member Meinhardt.
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Up next, the 80-20 cost share resolution for 25-26. Don't know that we have this. We discussed it at our workshop.
I move to adopt the 2025-26 80-20 cost share preamble and resolution as presented at our workshop.
Support?
Anything else? Okay, roll call again, please.
Member Hanson,
Aye.
Member Costain,
Aye.
Member MacArthur,
Aye.
Member Fritz,
Aye.
Member Lawson,
Aye.
Member Jazinski,
Aye.
Member Meinhardt,
Aye. Thank you, motion carries. Okay, up next, we kind of have a new item, Chromebook bid. Okay. Yep, we can go on to, yep, perfect. I will skip over the Chromebooks to go down to the annual renewal of School of Choice 105 and 105C yearly procedure.
I move to approve the Alpena Public Schools continuing participation in Schools of Choice 105 and 105C for the 2025-2026 school year.
Support.
Anything further? Nope, okay, we can just do regular all in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, thank you, that's all 7, thank you. And then we have in our packet, we'll come right back to you after this one, the 25-26 Board of Education meeting calendar for the upcoming year. We presented at the workshop with the one modification to June 29th next summer. So we're looking for a motion to approve that calendar as presented.
Motion to approve the 2025-2026 Board of Education meeting schedule as presented.
Support.
Thank you. Anything further? Okay, all in favor, show of hands, please. Thank you, that's all 7. And now we'll move back up to the Chromebook bid.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to set this up, Mary?
Thank you.
So I realize this did not make it to the workshop. Andrew's new. So I did push him to get it done in June so that we could get them ordered in July, so the Chromebooks are back in time for them to get them completely set up for the sixth grade distribution. So I beg your forgiveness that you didn't see this sooner, but
All right. So we put a request for proposal out June 11th. We buy, we have to replace, we're on a replacement, like a 6-year replacement cycle. So that can be anywhere from 350 to 400 Chromebooks that we would need to replace in order to keep that cycle. This year, because we have more money, we can afford to purchase more, but then also in this bid, we have the nearly 300 Chromebooks for the 6th grade. So today, I'm sorry. Oh. Okay. So we put out a request for proposal. There on the second sheet, you can see the numbers that came in. And for comparison, I listed REMC pricing. It's pricing that we can take advantage of. It's pricing that's already been bid. It follows all the legal requirements for our bidding. None of the bids that came in were even really close to the REMC pricing. So my recommendation was to purchase through REMC, and I got a quote today from them after seeing our bids. I had a pretty good idea where they were before the bids went out, but yeah. So because we actually had more money, we get Title I funds. And we're able to purchase more devices because the cost per device is lower than we anticipated. So that gives us a little bit of a buffer. Like this year, I don't know that we're ever guaranteed that money, but we're able to. We're going to be a little bit ahead this year because we're purchasing more devices than we need to replace. But that's a much better position. It's a good position to be in. So, of the 299,565, 202,705 will be for Title I, and then the remaining 96,859 would be covered by our long-range tech fund. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
So how many extra Chromebooks are
Yeah,
we,
so-
and did we go through every single Chromebook to make sure it needed to be replaced?
Yeah, so, okay, so how many extra, actually, that's why I brought this up here. There's a lot of data to cover here, one moment. So, needs to be is 307. Let me get to these numbers here. Okay, needs to be, I think, it needs to be two, one moment. Okay, needs to be 500, and we're getting 609 for K through 5.
Okay, so 609 need to be replaced.
500 need to be replaced, I'm sorry. 500
500.
need to be replaced in order
Okay.
to keep up, and we're ordering 600.
Okay.
So we always have to have a backstock for ones that get damaged beyond repair, so we can replace them. I mean, the kids do everything under the sun to them, so.
But it says that we're buying 900, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That includes 300 for the 6th grade, who will keep their Chromebooks through graduation.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right.
Oh, okay.
So the needs to be where they need to be replaced, those are not the graduating.
No.
Got, all right.
We'll be a little ahead in the cycle.
Yep.
Do these ones come, for the one that you're talking about, does it come with a warranty?
Yes, they're 2-year warranty on the REMC. 1+1 is what they call it. Yeah.
And that's at no charge?
That's at no charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, because of the amount that we were buying, we had to process a formal RFP process. We went through that process, the bids came back. REMC is also a big consortium that meets the governmental guidelines. So their price, the company that was listed in there did not bid, but their price is lower than the bids. So with the federal review or grant review, I can prove to them that we receive the best value, even though we're rejecting all the bids that came in through the RFP.
And there's nothing in our policy that says we can't do that, because we got yelled at once for doing
No.
things a little irregularly.
We didn't do that at all. We're rejecting all of the formal bids that we received because they were high. And we're going with the big consortium whose prices are way lower than our formal RFP responses that we received.
And any of those other bidders don't have any grounds to complain about the process. It's thoroughly,
We put it in the RFP.
The RFP and policy says that we can reject any and all bids.
okay.
Okay.
Have we used computers from them before? I mean, it seems like their prices are so significantly, I mean,
These are HP computers.
okay. so-
Yeah. Basically, they're a reseller. They're new devices.
Okay.
So they meet all the same specs and everything that they match the specs that were in the bid.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
It's just hard to believe anyone can compete with them, really. I mean, anyone else have questions for Andrew or Mary?
Thank you for anticipating my question, by the way. And actually, is there anything else in your answering of that question that you think it would be helpful for board members to hold in their memory? Because I'm not sure you want me to walk away with just thinking, we can reject any and all bids. So
If
there's,
if there's a valid reason, which there obviously is, because when you compare the RFP prices to the REMC bid consortium, REMC bid is a whole lot lower, the company that bid through REMC.
and you said that was called pre-bid?
So so there's consortiums out there, like Oakland Public Schools runs one, REMC is another, Omni is another. So what they do is they go out and they put out RFPs out for all kinds of stuff. And as long as they follow the government, like it's fair and equitable, and they review, they have the contracts, as long as they fall within all those guidelines, we can pull from those. We just have to be able to prove that we did what we were supposed to on the front end. If we can buy from the other and it's less, then, I mean, the federal government's gonna be happy that we save money,
And
basically.
would there be
And we're
any-
happy too, because it helps our,
Would it be any different if we went and looked at that after, as opposed to, it looks like we had this kind of already in our pocket, so the timing of it, that's okay?
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, take instruction. Okay, so we wouldn't, there aren't any places that pre-bid construction by governmental standards. So we wouldn't have the option in there, you know, to look for something like that. But for equipment and stuff that we buy like this in a big bulk, we can do it this way because we can prove that we did what we were supposed to do with the RFP, but yet REMC was over here and this is a lower price. So we can reject all these bids based on that.
I'll try to
Yeah, it's just making sure that you're doing your due diligence, which we did with the RFP, and then making sure that if you're pulling it from Oakland Public Schools or Omnia or REMC, that you're, we did what we were supposed to do as far as the federal guidelines go.
Okay, I'll try to remember that part.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's a very good explanation. I appreciate it.
Okay.
I move to approve the purchase of new Chromebooks as part of a replacement rotation.
Second.
Well, slow down.
Keep going.
Hold on. Do I need to add in from RE or
It's up to you if you want to.
REMC?
Sure, with that.
All right,
Second.
thank you.
Yeah, let's do a roll call for the amount, please. Thank you.
Member Costain?
Aye.
Member MacArthur?
Aye.
Member Fritz?
Aye.
Member Lawson?
Aye.
Member Dzinski?
Aye.
Member Hanson?
Aye.
Member Meinhardt?
Aye. Thank you. Motion carries. All right, Coleman contract. I believe they're at H.
I'm just looking at that document, calling it up on this computer. No, that was not. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Takes this thing a while to load. Maybe I need a different Chromebook. This one's 5 years old
We're
at this
getting
point.
some new ones. Yeah.
Well, yeah, so going through the, through Troon's issues, has everybody looked at this? Does anybody have any issue with that, the question of the agreement, school board versus school district body corporate? I imagine if you talk about that with Coleman, they can iron out
Yeah,
the.
again, I don't see him, I mean, that's just a
Yeah.
logistical thing.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I didn't have any concerns about litigation. The office space question, I thought that was kind of interesting. I'll bet that's probably not a big deal. I have a feeling if you mention it, they'll probably make it go away, but,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm comfortable with. Anybody else have any comment on that? I thought that was a little funny one. I think we've been over we've seen the rates a few times now. I think if anybody had any issues with that, we'd be hearing about that. Contractual limits, yeah, I didn't have any other issues in there. Excuse me. I think, and again, the backdating and the incorrect school district, I think that was just not having, not, the contract not being really completed for us. So I think once you guys talk, that's going to get ironed out right away.
Yep.
So I didn't have anything else.
2 versus 1, I would, I guess, go with 1-year contract versus 2.
Yeah, and
Since
I feel like
we-
we do all of our
Yeah, you know, everything
yearly
is.
business.
We typically do, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to get that rate for 2 years, though, if we go with the 1 year?
My guess is yes. You know, I think, you know, again, my guess is that he just suggested 2 years for consistency's sake. I didn't feel like it was a sales pitch of, do this now and you'll get this price. Because it is, again, it's the same contract that he presented to the other district. back in '23.
I also felt when reading this, I wasn't maybe clear that Troon understood that we were looking for sort of à la carte services and not complete. So the way they responded, it led me to believe they weren't, really clear that that was our intent. So I think that's not
Yeah.
going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, in light of that discussion, I would move that the board authorize the superintendent to conclude negotiations and discussions on this contract and sign it.
Second it.
There was one other question I had, but I'm having a senior moment. Just wanted to, let's see.
You want to walk to your office and,
Sorry, what?
you want to walk to your office and think about it?
Yeah.
He got it, so we're good.
So that point about if we are in litigation, that you can't make a determination without involving Coleman. Again, I don't think we're looking to use them for litigation, but to me, that seems fairly consequential, the way it's written, where, ultimately, you make that decision, whether to settle, to do this, that, or the other thing. And so they were just concerned about the way it was written, that, he needed to be included and informed, or whatever that language was.
My guess that would be for services, in which they're involved representing us, and if they're not, it would probably not be a problem. But you could suggest language to him, to that effect that, if it's not something they're actively representing us on, it wouldn't be a problem. That would be my guess.
Okay.
Okay, anything further? We have motion on the floor?
Refresh my memory, why are we even looking at another law firm? When we already have Troon that has served us since 1960, has expertise in has been with us since 1960, has expertise in all the fields that we need them for. Why do we need another law firm? We're not that big of a district. I think we're wasting our money and our time.
Noted.
I would just like to say that it is no cost. There is no retainer on this. And actually, if we do run something by Throon, it'll actually be $10 cheaper, or Coleman $10 cheaper than Throon, too. So.
And I don't think we're replacing Troon.
No,
It's just
no,
if
we're
there's
not
a second
replacing them.
opinion.
You still haven't answered my question. Why do we need them? We have Troon.
You were at the workshop, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you heard
Why do we need this law firm?
There's
Well, it
already
doesn't sound
have
like it's
Troon.
not uncommon when Troon was here.
But we're such a small district. We don't need another law firm. Troon handles everything that we've ever done since 1960.
Well, by some measures, we're not small. And I guess the answer to your question, though, is to have complementary representation, different perspective, and different expertise. I think that it's better and safer to have that than
But
not.
Troon has all of the expertise this other firm has. They've got 30 lawyers to 2.
Okay.
Call the question.
Yep. Question was answered. Anything further? Okay. Just a motion, all in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, got 5 yeses, opposed.
Opposed.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
So my plan would be to have this completed and ready at our organizational meeting to go through, just like we do with Troon Services.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, human resources.
Hello, we have several new hires. Our professional staff, we have McKenna Bullen, who is going to be a social studies teacher at Alpena High School, Claire Branding, an English social studies teacher, Devin Hayden is a PE teacher. I will have you remove Chase Petty. He did decline the position today. Chelsea Stevens is a GSRP teacher at Besser. Ryan Fahey is a special ed teacher at the high school. Justin Christensen Cooper is our elementary teacher for art. And Danielle Wergo is our second grade teacher at Ella White. So they will all start on August 14th. So those are all of our new teachers that will be coming in. We have resignations of Melissa Fisher-Goyette, Ian Veal, Emily Gosselin, Kimberly Tessimer, Joseph Rosener, Jennifer Cheek, and Jenna Odom. We have also a couple terminations for Corinne Hebner and Patrick Noland, and we have several retirements, and we just want to thank them all for their service. Cynthia McMasters is lead custodian after 20 years of service. Tamaya Kliss is an instructional assistant. She's had 5 years of service. Kimberly Barson is a bus driver with transportation for 29 years of service. Diana Nelson is also an instructional assistant for 28 years of service. And Jerry Lynn Earwig is an instructional assistant. She has 3 years of service. And Amy Brownridge is an English teacher with 27 years of service.
Michelle, for all the new hires, are we going to get an email for like the ones that are moving to the area? As like we can welcome them, you know, like I think you
August
said before that.
14th, we are already working on a welcome for all the new teachers coming in, and we're still in the process of planning that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But especially the ones that are new to the area, you know, it's like a.
I think all but one.
Okay. Oh, wow. All right. Welcome.
Yeah, so there's a whole lot more going on, but we'll get you guys information once it's all finalized.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
Quick question about, I see we're losing a mechanic.
Yes.
How are we doing at the bus garage with mechanics?
Right now, it's summertime, and Lacey's been on vacation, so basically the position's been on hold until we can do some more interviews.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, yes. July 16th, we're doing a job fair, so we'll hopefully get some more applicants then as well. Okay, any other questions?
Nope, thank you.
Yep.
I move to approve the hires of the new professional staff after proper certification has been completed and all requirements met.
Support?
Anything further? All in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, I think it's 7 yeses. Motion carries. Charitable gifts?
Yes. Another wonderful crop of donations from the community. Besser Company gave a generous monetary donation of $200 to support the students of Alpena High School Kaput. Author Jonathan Rand donated 12 Michigan Chillers books valued at $84 to support the students of Besser Elementary. Jimmy Johns generously donated a book publishing for a creative writing elective valued at $75 to support the students of Thunder Bay Junior High. Sarah Costain generously donated a Yeti cooler, a Bulldog lamp, a Stanley tumbler, yard pong, and an Adidas bag valued at $475 to support the students at Alpena High School. Dennis and Ruth Rabo gave a generous monetary donation of $30 to support the McKinney-Vento Families in Transition program. Jessica and Jason Patterson gave a generous monetary donation of $500 to support the Alpena High School Knowledge Bowl team. Besser Company gave a generous monetary donation of $500 to support Parent Advisory Council activities and the students of Lincoln Elementary. Culver's gave a generous monetary donation of $396.01 to support Parent Advisory Council activities and the students of Lincoln Elementary. McDonald's Restaurant of Alpena generously donated 25 cheeseburgers and 25 hamburgers valued at $102 to support the students of Alpena High School Senior Night. Courtney Mayhez donated $2,500 for the Mayhez Family Spartan Scholarship Fund for the 2025 Scholarship Award. Douglas Field generously donated $20,000 to the Alpena High School football program.
I'll make
That's
a
it.
motion to accept the gifts listed above with gratitude and thank the donors in writing for their generous gifts.
Support?
Thank you. Anything further?
You gotta love the faithfulness of the Rabo family. I get the feeling they are on a fixed income and that is they can do that month after month.
Not sure, but it's consistent and incredible, for sure. Nothing else? All in favor, show of hands, please. Okay, thank you. 7 yeses, motion carries. And we are now at the second opportunity for citizens or delegations who would like to address the board.
Hi, my name is Bruce Heath, and I'm from Ossining. I'd like to thank each and every one of you school board members for serving on the board. Okay, you guys got elected to do the job to improve our education system. A lot of times we got a lot of people running in here and want to talk and have a lot of noise, but you guys are the ones that have to make the adult decisions in this room and try to get our scores up. Right now our scores are in a bad way, and we need to pay attention to our knitting. So thank you so much for your time and your efforts that you put towards this job. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Anna, was there an email that was supposed to be read?
Yes. One
that'll be on the
email, I
letters?
think, yeah.
Okay.
I think just the one that Janet won, is that the one, or?
No, there was one.
Well, we can move into that. We are at if there's no one else coming forward, we're going to move on to information and proposals, letters and communications. Did you get any? Okay. They usually have to be sent to Summer by, what, 4
Yeah.
o'clock the day of?
This was right after our last board meeting. It said, I passed along your email to the board secretary to have it read on our monthly meeting, June 6th. You sent that.
Who is that one?
Jim Stalker.
Hang on. That was Jim Stalker.
Yeah, Jim Stalker.
Yeah. I think it's listed his name. Did that one say to be read? So I guess,
Yeah.
Okay, I just listed his name. Yeah, I think I can, June 6th, I wrote his name down. Did I send that one to Summer? I'm looking, I think, Jim. Yeah, here's Jim's, yeah. Oh, yeah, I CC'd you on that, but I can read it right now since I have it up. Is that? Okay. You probably don't have it up yet, do you? I can read it when you want to set the timer. Okay, we have one email that I will read on June 3rd from Jim Stalker. Dear school board members, my name is Jim Stalker, and I am a concerned parent of 3 Besser Elementary School students. I am writing to express my concern with a recent APS social media post in which the school district explicitly endorsed Pride Month. Although I understand that the spirit of the post was meant to convey inclusivity, I don't feel that it is appropriate for an entity that's subsidized by the taxpayers to use their platform to make a political statement, especially in a community that voted overwhelmingly to reject state-sanctioned pride ideology. The public school system should ideally remain neutral on political issues and can be supportive of students who identify with the queer community without publicly endorsing one side of the issue. I am sure that it's not lost on you that a plurality, if not the outright majority of Alpena area taxpayers reject this ideology. Those who support it are the loudest opponents of any kind of Christian or other religious themes being endorsed by the district. In fact, they were apologetic. Oh, I lost my second. When a motivational speaker who happens to be a Christian was scheduled to speak at the schools, demanding their due separation of church and state. As far as I am aware, faculty and staff of the school district are legally barred by law from using their platform to express and advance their religious convictions. One could make the argument that pride ideology is religious in nature. I would argue that it is a religion in direct opposition to traditional Christianity, a rival religion. Given that premise, if the tenets of Christianity cannot be endorsed by the school system, then why is it acceptable for the district to openly identify itself with the LGBT agenda? We don't see statements on commemorating Holy Week in the lead up to Easter, as that would offend the anti-religious. Yet APS felt compelled to post a celebratory statement about Pride Month. The district has, in effect, made a religious statement wrapped in the facade of virtue. Just as not everyone in the community observes the religious tenets of Christianity, so there are those of us who refuse to observe the religious tenets of pride. APS should be respectful of that. I would like to respectfully suggest an alternate approach to this matter for the board to consider. APS should refrain from publicly aligning itself with Pride Month. The school district could simply refrain from posting such statements on social media. As a parent who is trying to raise my children to reject the LGBT agenda, yet treat individuals who identify with that community with respect and dignity, I believe that in posting such statements on social media, the schools... Okay, thank you. My time's up. Do you want to have the next one? Okay, perfect. Thanks.
This letter is from Janet Fairchild. Dear Alpena Board of
Can you
Education.
slide a little close? Sorry, just so. Yep. That fan's going.
This is from Janet Fairchild. Dear Alpena Board members, I am writing to express serious concern over the Alpena Board of Education's consideration to terminate its long-standing relationship with Troon Law Firm and replace them with the Coleman Legal Group of Lansing. From what I have learned, Troon has served Alpena Public Schools since 1960. That's over 6 decades of dedicated service rooted in deep expertise in Michigan school law. They are widely respected across the state for offering professional, nonpartisan, and educational-specific legal guidance. Their longstanding relationship with our district means that they bring historical knowledge, consistency, and steady counsel, qualities that are essential in managing the increasing complex legal responsibilities of a public school system. On the other hand, the Coleman Law Firm is primarily known for its involvement in highly politicized and controversial legal actions. Their portfolio centers around ideological litigation, often unrelated to the actual work of running a school district. Switching to a law firm with such a partisan profile risk inviting conflict, distracting from the student-centered priorities, and possibly even entangling the district in lawsuits that serve agendas far more removed from Alpena's needs. This is not about politics, it's about preserving trust, professionalism, and educational focus. Public education should never be used as a platform for ideological experimentation. Our schools require legal representation that is focused on sound governance, labor relations, student rights, and compliance with state and federal law, not one that draws headlines for diverse reasons. Replacing a trusted legal partner like Troon without compelling cause is not only short-sighted, but also potentially damaging to the stability of our school district. I urge our board members to vote against this change and keep Alpena's legal foundation strong, steady, and student-focused.
Thank you. And then do you want to read whatever else was on? Thank you.
The board received emails from Melody Marceau regarding her employment, Christina Schroeder regarding safety issues at Thunder Bay Junior High, Jim Stalker regarding Pride Awareness Post.
Thank you. Information and questions from board members?
I wanted to touch again on the cell phones. I know that we talked about this quite a few months back, and I know we were supposed to discuss the policy in May, and we never did. I was hoping that we could possibly put that on the agenda for the next month's
Yeah, we
workshop.
discussed it in our meeting today to make sure it's on there for July.
Okay,
We
because it'd be
just-
nice to discuss it at the workshop, get the first read, and whatever approval needs to be made at the meeting.
Yeah, I think we have it on for the July regular meeting, right? And then.
Will that be enough time before school starts to
Well,
be able
it's just hard
to?
to get our board training in, and that's already probably, so we talked about if the board training at our workshop, we have that, and then if we add another meeting, we just might be looking at a 3-hour evening, which is an option too, or if we were just gonna, because the organizational meeting is usually straightforward, and then have a meeting portion after that to discuss those, the cell phone and dress code.
Okay. I mean, as long as we have enough time to get something out, if we.
Yeah, we talked about that, because they're working on, I think part of that too is they're working on handbooks right now, correct, or work?
Yeah. Are they back and starting to work on handbooks right now, do you know? Tomorrow. Yeah. And so the process is an annual, the administration goes through and reviews the handbooks and then brings it forward to the board.
So yeah, so we can decide if we'd rather have an extra long workshop and try to fit it in.
Yeah, so we can put some business items at the front of the workshop and then at the regular meeting, or two, I should have the handbooks to share with you electronically, but that's separate than policy.
Yep.
But, you know, the idea is we'll have the handbooks, the recommendations from the administration. I can share that electronically prior to either the workshop or the regular. Should be in the next couple of weeks that we have that, I think, and
And then the one other thing is, I was looking, we don't have a social media policy. And a lot of other districts do have that. I would like to, probably not at July, because it seems a little full, but maybe the August meeting, review a social media policy.
yeah, for students, staff.
For all the, yep. I said Neola has one that I was looking at, and some of the other districts.
Yeah, ours is embedded in the, yeah. the
Where is it?
Acceptable use, and electronic communications.
Yeah.
And.
Okay.
That's been my impression, that it's
not like a-
I think Matt said, it's interwoven with lots of other policies, but, you know, if we could cross-reference or extract that and get it in a policy that would be easier to reference, I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do we want to talk about the email we got from Ms. Marceau, or is there explanation? It was,
You know, it's a personnel matter.
yeah, I was going to
Um,
ask if you wanted to slide that in the closed session.
I don't know that we'd be allowed to talk about that.
I think if
in,
it's a personnel, don't they have to?
They have to be present,
They have
okay.
to be present and
Yeah.
request it, so.
And she's not a direct employee of ours, right?
Well, I
She's
was-
just, yeah. So we send funding over to the parochial schools if they accept it, and then they employ that person. And then that information is reported back to us for the financials.
Okay.
So she would have to request a closed session with us then? to review.
Yes, but I don't think she can because she's not our employee.
She's not our employee.
Okay.
We give that, right, is that how I understand it? We give that parochial school money to have that employee, and then they use the money to pay the employee.
I'm,
Mary, just, I know, sorry.
I'm just paying the money back, like that, how's that work?
She's their employee, so they supervise her and everything else. Her wages are written into the parochial schools portion of Title I. So we pay her, but she works for them, because we, by law, cannot transfer money to a parochial or another nonprofit entity.
But if it comes to pay, she would have to talk to us, or Alpena Schools, because they're the ones who pay her, right? Because the parochials don't pay her.
The agreement is written into the grant. So they're actually her employer.
But when it comes to pay, it's from APS.
It's from us, yes,
So if she had any pay issues, it would come to us.
yes.
Okay.
are there any next steps that we need to take with this, or?
Again, the question would be, can she request a closed session personnel matter? We would have to figure that out. Because again, she's not directly employed by us.
I was just trying to make sense of what all was going on.
Yes, I think she
and-
sent it, 2 days ago or,
No, I think it showed up this morning.
Was it this morning?
Yeah. from what-
Okay. So again, that's one side of the story.
Oh, that's what I was trying to
So
get
I can
more info.
probably provide here's what happened from our perspective in my update. And then we can also figure out if we can actually go into a closed session to address it. It is unique because she is not our employee. She does receive funds from us, but it's spelled out through the Title I grant. So we'll do some digging.
I just hate to get an email like that from somebody and
Yeah.
then ignore it, so.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. If we can get an email update, that would be
Yeah.
great. Okay, anything else?
The MHSAA resolution?
Yeah.
Where are we at with that?
Sorry, so I took that off because I was going to get you the handbook. A lot of people are on vacation right now, so I wasn't able to get the handbook for you to review. As soon as I get it, I can share it with you. I'll put it in my update, and then we can revisit it at the July regular meeting, because it just has to be submitted to MHSAA by August 1st. So, because I didn't get you the handbook to review ahead of time, I figured we'd take it off. We still got time to do that.
Anything else? Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Dave, for the superintendent mid-year progress report.
Okay. Does anybody need a stretch break or anything? Yeah? Do we want to pause for a?
Sure, let's take a
It will be thorough.
5-minute break, 5-minute recess.
All right.
Make sure your microphones are on.
I was just gonna say hi. I was trying to bother you. Really?
Official.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just.
How's it going back there?
It's probably the same as from up there.
Pretty exciting stuff, huh?
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Just lean in the microphone.
Hello, hello.
This is,
Ooh, it
this
is
very
on.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
It's nice out.
Is it?
I'm going down to Higgins tonight. Alex biked. I mean, I don't know if
So I go around the rest of this week. Just tomorrow. So heading out Wednesday. Yeah, so do you have any? Yeah, I don't think so. And then I'm out the whole next week. Okay. So I'll be back in town on the 8th. Yes. So let me see. Something tomorrow. Okay. So yeah, I'll be at my in-laws for a little bit. So just give me a little heads up, and I can sneak away. And I'll be doing some work.
I don't wear them enough to really. I know. Yeah. The first time I did it, I'm trying to go down the stairs. I'm like,
what's weird is everything's blurry except right here.
yes. I only wear them when I don't have my contacts in.
Yeah, let me know what works. Yeah, hey, no problem. Yeah, let me know. Hey,
Hi, what are we?
all right, thank you. Eric, here's your pie.
But you still have them, right?
Okay, we'll get rolling again once everyone comes back in, so we can get in and get out. Mary, is there anyone else in the hall? Mary, was there anyone else still in the hall that wanted to come in? Okay. She just likes to come to your board meetings?
Yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
We said 5 minutes, so I think we can carry on.
Yep. Okay, we're going to carry on. If everyone can have a seat so we can get going. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Dave, turning over to you.
Okay. So last year, you remember the superintendent evaluation law process changed. This is the first time that a mid-year progress report is required. My contract has an informal session in June, and so this then becomes a mid-year progress report. Since this is our first time through, I'm going to suggest it is not as intense as the entire rubric, first off. The focus of this is on strategic plan goals and providing a progress report on those goals, and then, having a conversation, which I would propose we do probably in July, and feedback of the progress report to identify what the plan looks like going from July till December. So, with that, I'll start. And I do have handouts for you. You don't have this one, but just to refamiliarize everyone. The Board of Education approved the strategic plan in August of this school year, August 24, and it basically broke it down into 2 phases, the design phase and the deliver phase, and then into our 5 goal areas, academics programs, whole child development, personnel, family and community partnership, and stewardship. The design phase we had proposed was around, just kind of doing an audit of where we are with all that we do in the district, setting up some standard vocabulary, start to look at our systems and all of that, the assess, conduct a readiness audit, and then start to build those plans, determining measurable goals, deliverables, timelines for the 4 steps of the deliver phase. And so essentially, we would be heading into the deliver phase in August, the start of next school year. And that is implementing those plans, monitoring and adjusting those plans, supporting as needed, and evaluating those plans. Just a quick review of the strategic plan timeline with the board. Again, you adopted it, approved it officially on August 26th, and it's been on our agendas in a number of different times throughout the year. With that, switch over to this one. So what I'm going to go through here today is our 5 goal areas. We've started adding dates that we will be reporting out to the Board of Education on the various components. And then I want to show you some of the detail that we've engaged in particular in the first 2 goal areas. So, if you look at academics and programs, design and deliver effective instruction, that is our teacher clarity model. And so, what we have been doing, and thanks to our curriculum team over there of Stacy, Steph, and Matt, who've been driving much of this work. And I think that should go that way. Bless you. Is there enough there? Hey, all right. So the idea behind academics and programs is our goal is to deliver high-quality instruction to maximize student achievement. And so the model that we're going to employ to do that is teacher clarity. And so in all of these areas, we have a couple of activities going on. Number one, there's building the system, and then, of course, monitoring the impact on student achievement. So teacher clarity is the expectation that it'll be implemented in every classroom. And so what we've been developing is what we call practice profiles, which you have in front of you. So we will be engaging in implementation fidelity visits into our classroom starting in the fall. And we're going to be observing where we are in each classroom as far as implementing teacher clarity. And so using this rubric, we'll be able to have data that says whatever % of our classrooms are at the initial implementation stage, whatever % of our classrooms are at the developing implementation stage, and full implementation stage. Now, as an administrative team, we have data reviews scheduled every month in our ad staff based on these visits. These visits are structured every 2 weeks out of every month, and we have teams designed that are a combination of administrators, teachers, and instructional coaches. The schedule's already built for these different teams to go into the buildings. Again, they have a 2-week window in which they go in. They collect this data, and then we review it each month as to whether we're progressing. These are all cross-building teams too, so their administrators are not only going through their own building. We have other administrators other teams going through their buildings and gathering this data. And the idea is, the goal is that 100% of our teachers are at full implementation. However, we know the reality is that we have new teachers walking in. We have teachers that have come in at some point and didn't have the training. We need to keep all that in mind. But with this process, we can track, again, the improvement, the ebbs and flows of where we're at on that. So then we would go to the board on this document here.
Dave, LISC, is that Learning Intention Success Criteria?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just make sure I had that picked up.
Yeah. So this is a close-up version of what's on the screen right now, broken down. Yep, did that special for you. I was going to hit you with the, all of it there, but it was in small font. So looking at this sheet now, the reporting event is that we come to the board and we are able to then present to you that whole first semester or almost the first semester view of what progress we're making in this area towards 100% implementation of teacher clarity across the district. And then again, according to that sheet, we'd come back in June of next year and do a closeout of, we said we wanted teacher clarity in place in every classroom, and this is how we're progressing towards that goal. Anything on instructional rounds that... The next piece, so standard assessment data. With the, on this sheet, the September 15th, the idea is that we will be having our baseline data profile for the board to review at that point. That'll be a combination of hopefully this year's M-STEP data, which is currently embargoed. We'll have the most recent data available for then the board to have its conversation around setting academic goals, like we're talking about through the book study. But then we'll come back, because as September rolls around, we'll be administering our fall assessments, and so we'll come back to the board and provide updates on that in November, March, and June. So we'll be looking at board academic goals based on the data that we present to the board on September 15th. Then on that sheet, let's see, yes, behavior. Yep. So then the last thing on academics and programs, instructional coaching profile. Again, we're going to create a practice profile. You'll hear that word a lot. But there's our administrative team needs to be trained in instructional coaching so that we can then support our instructional coaches and roll out what that practice profile looks. So right now, the training is Tuesday or Wednesday or something? Wednesday. And then after that, we'll start to have some more detail to what the instructional coaching profile looks like. And then we would start reporting out on our progress. Again, the expectation is 100% of the teachers take advantage of our instructional coaching, that it is focused on teacher clarity and other needs that we discover in our visits. And then we can start reporting to the board on our progress with that beginning in the second semester. Any questions on academics and programs?
So Dave, you said that the teachers will be doing weekly or biweekly data meetings on the students, looking at their data that they have, student progress. It's been my experience that we had data meetings and I had to bring individual data on each student to see where they're at and where I want them to be.
Yeah.
And strengths and weaknesses of that student, so I could go get an instructional coach or get the Title I teacher to come in more into either Title I or math. So is that what their data meetings are going to look like? Are we going to look at individual students'
Yes.
scores?
That wouldn't be represented here at the board level, but absolutely.
And that's what.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
team time, and then we have the instructional coaching process where they
Okay.
look at data and respond to that. Team time staff meetings are built into that where they're looking at their building grade level data. So there's a lot of data analysis that's taking place below what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so they're going to look at individual students. and
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Anything else on academics and programs? All right, so then in whole child development, again, practice profiles, so PBIS, positive behavior, positive behavior interventions and supports. There's probably an extra one in there, then two. Again, the team, again, working with instructional coaches, other administrators and staff, we've developed these positive behavior intervention support profiles with the same idea that during those 2 weeks that we're looking to see how teacher clarity is being implemented in the classrooms, we're also looking at how our positive behavior support system is being implemented. And so that would be reviewed monthly by our ad staff team, and it would be reported out to the board again in January and June. And again, the goal is 100% implementation in every classroom across the district. And this tool allows us, number one, it provides what it looks like to the staff, but it also allows us to take a snapshot of the current status and track progress towards that goal. And also under whole child development, behavior threat assessment management. These next two practice profiles are either implemented, which means compliance, or they're not. There's no leeway for variation in it. So these are expectations that they are being utilized. So the behavior threat assessment management, which I think I just passed out to you, again, these are the things that have to be done in order for our behavior threat assessment management plan to be in line with the revised school code changes that are coming up in October, but also just continuing the practice that we've had in place. So again, it provides clarity for the staff that are involved in this process of what components are required. But it also gives us a review sheet of these are the expectations and here's how we implemented this particular threat assessment, and then we can gather that data to find our strengths, weaknesses, and adjust the plan going forward. And then the other part in that is the synergy behavior data collection practice profile. Again, this one is simply you're doing it or not. The expectation is you're doing it. And so one of the things that we've been working on for a couple of years is the, when you've got humans entering data, there's a lot of room for variation. And the variation makes it really hard for us to do any broad data reviews around behavior. And so we've spent a lot of time this spring and prior years, but really this spring under the strategic plan, pulling people together, and we've had sessions where we go through our code of conduct and the infraction list, and we talk about how the different principals interpret the events and then enter that data. And so we're building a consistent document that they can refer to and make sure that we're calling the same things when they happen across the district, because then that allows, so a fight, for example, that allows us to then pull data to see, what our trends are across the district. We're seeing, bullying is a great example, or harassment. There are people that are very eager to throw that term out immediately. And then when you read through the description, you realize, well, that's not really bullying, and we need to clean that up. So we've had a lot of work done in that. But again, this is the non-negotiable that we're going to be operating off of going forward. Building the pieces of the system to then be able to start pulling out reliable data from Synergy to make informed decisions. So this is a sample of the work we've been doing. Again, when I say we, it's our curriculum team, and they've been doing a great job working on that, working with our coaches and everyone else. Moving on to personnel, I don't have any documents for you, but the first thing listed there is executive coaching. That came through, trying to mentor and support. State law says that our administrators have to have mentors. Having mentors in general, when 50% of your staff has less than 5 years in the field, it's hard to find mentors. But the interesting thing in these changes in the law recently, an administrator who's new or in a new position, regardless of experience, so 30 years and moves to a different building, different as principal, is required to have a mentor. And so that's there's that piece of it, being in compliant with that, but also through our Raymond data and other conversations, our principals are often overlooked with professional development, mentoring, coaching, and those sorts of things. So this coming year, we're going to engage in some executive coaching where they're one-on-one with an executive coach / mentor, and they can address issues that are germane to their experience. And then we are also working together with this organization as an administrative team each month that ad staff, or a certain number of ad staffs, the executive coaches will be talking to our whole team about what's going on and, supports and those sorts of things. So again, the idea of reporting to the board, we'll do that in January and June. Nope, I'm looking at the wrong one, sorry. February and July, and I didn't have a date for July's workshop meeting in 26, but just an update again of how it's being perceived, received, and things that we're working on, just an overview of those. Again, this is under the goal of attracting, recruiting, retaining, and developing highly qualified staff. So Raymond engagement survey, again, I just put it on this calendar because I think it's probably a good idea to do it again, but possibly we want to wait a year. Those are conversations to be had, but we would come back with that, having set the goals in August for our team. We would be able to come back in March and July and talk about progress towards it. Under design and deliver a long-term sustainable staffing model, we will do an annual presentation on HR, covering many aspects of it. And so that'll be this, I think I have 2 different September dates. I'll have to clean those up. At the September workshop, we will be hearing a report on our HR and the long-term plans. And then there will be other, quarterly check-ins with what we're doing around staffing and everything as well. Designing and delivering the marketing plan. Again, we've got lots of things going on, job fairs, doing a lot of social media work, radio ads, and then we'll hopefully be able to report, impact or, efforts that we're doing on a regular basis to the board. And then internal communication plan, we'll be starting a monthly staff newsletter at the start of the school year. Again, we had talked about, implementing it at the end of the school year now, but makes a lot more sense now that, and Michelle's office is going to drive that. So now that she's been in the district for enough time, we'll be starting that when we come back. And that'll cover a lot of the topics that, people had asked about. You saw it a little bit in the Raymond, just trying to get to that consistent, targeted communication. We do employee updates, staffing moves, anything that's relevant going on in the district. That'd be an internal document. Anything on personnel? Family and community partnership, design and deliver an engagement plan. Right now, we know we're doing the parent perception survey data. We do that every year at conferences, so we would report that out, the results, to the board at the December workshop for that. And then our community partnership plan is in process. And so, we're talking about things like CTE advisory committees, which do meet, and, just trying to improve that process, but connecting between the schools and the community. Our annual strategic plan summit, we've had 2 of those now. Those are part of our community engagement. And so we'll have more of a list of things that we're doing in that area. And then the external communication plan, the biggest part. So we launched our new website. That was a big part of it. That launched, I think, a month ago. And then starting next year, we're going to be doing a quarterly community newsletter. And I'm on it's a paper copy that goes out to people, to all households, because we really need to reach not only the people that are connected to this school, but more importantly, the people that aren't connected to this school. So we'd be doing that in quarterly, and I just targeted fall, winter, spring, summer. As we get closer to the school year, we'll have dates that those will go out. And then stewardship, design and deliver a long-term sustainable plan for physical instruction or infrastructure. King Scott facility plan, and right now the next dates for the board interaction is August and October. We just met with them today, and they have some scenarios, so pretty interesting scenarios that they've come up with right now. The next step, though, is our administrative team met with them, provided them some feedback, and then they will tweak that and then come back and start talking about getting the community involved in those sessions. Might be a little difficult getting people to participate over the summer, but, to stay on track with August and October, we hope to have some public sessions where they get community input on those plans or scenarios. And then long-term and sustainable plan for physical that should be instructional. Did I print it up right? The last one should be instructional. And so we have examples of this, our curriculum review calendar and the long-range tech plan. Again, we have a long-range or a curricular review calendar. We have to revitalize it, and we'll be doing that in time to start the school year next year, or in August. And I was going to have how many days it is until the first day of school, but it is really getting down there, folks. But what's that? Oh, no, it's pretty much over. Anyway, so those would be examples. Again, we had those, I believe, when we looked at the curriculum review process, it kind of went away when our financial troubles, came around, and so we had to set that aside. But the whole point of this is we know we have to have this in place, so as long as we have it here now, we can make those financial decisions that protect things like this, our long-term planning there. So I think that's it. That wasn't too bad.
I have a quick question, Dave. So the yellow component is the intervention. Where is the actual measurable outcome?
So, again, on the academics and programs, teacher clarity and instructional coaching, it's 100% is the goal.
Yeah, but that's kind of, that would be like me saying 100% of clinics in the community will implement a stroke reduction plan. Mm-hmm. But the goal should be there should be a 10% reduction in strokes. See, the outcome is what we are seeking. That's what's measurable, not the intervention. Implementation is measurable.
But that's what I was saying. We got 2 parts to it. That's system, mm-hmm. and we need to monitor how our system is getting to that 100% implementation. At the same time, you'll be talking about, and all of our staff will be talking about academic goals in August.
Okay.
And so you'll be talking about academic goals from the board level in September.
Based on the implementation of these interventions.
So we will provide the most current data, academic achievement data, mm-hmm. from which to have those conversations as a board about long-term goals and measurables. Each building, each teacher, each administrator will have been setting their own academic goals that are measurable. But as far as the board level, we'll give you the data profile, and then we start talking about what we want the board goals to look like. So again, the system of implementing teacher clarity, we expect it to be 100%, but we know that's not the reality because of turnover, because of training cycles and things like that. So we want to monitor how well that system is being implemented, and that's not an outcome goal like you're talking about. But with the academic goals that we have alongside of that, we should start to see, we will be setting goals, and then we should be able to track, as we get closer to 100% implementing teacher clarity, then we should expect that our academic achievement goes up towards the goal that we set.
I understand where you're coming from. I guess I look at it from a little bit of a different perspective because, it's like saying someone will train to be a good marksman. It doesn't say they're going to shoot, 100 on their score. It's a different goal. You're roundabout getting there, but I guess that's the difference between education and healthcare. They're very different perspectives, and I've shared with you before, that's a little bit hard for me to visualize because some of these things seem so vague. We're going to put an implementation and hope that it creates an outcome rather than creating the outcome and trying to strive towards that.
And we will. So 2 pieces. The system, which is the practice profiles and everything. We have to track how we're doing in making sure that everyone is doing that.
Okay, I'll trust the process.
All teachers and administrators will also set academic goals as they do every year.
Yep, I'll trust the process. I see.
And then you will have the data to then set a board goal.
It's almost as if we're accepting that we have to have some adult inputs to then later on measure our student achievement. That's kind of what it looks like to me. I mean, some of these things are adult inputs, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to measure that student achievement. We're going to keep our eye on it through different numbers later.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Plus, this is all very laminatable, by the way. This is stuff I'm definitely going to hang on to. It's good stuff.
There you go. But hear me, we will have measurable goals.
Will there be measurable goals for the things that are other than academics? Like when, for example, when we're looking at our staffing models, will we have measurable goals about what percentage of staff we're looking to retain, or measurable goals when it comes to job fairs or things like that?
Yeah. Measurable goals for job fairs, teacher retention, or staff retention and everything.
Yes, so our biggest struggle is going to be getting the data from past years. We would go back 3 years and then if we run that data to see if we were implementing. But right now, we're just going to get a base point because I don't think that's ever been done.
Yep.
So we'll have base data and then if I can get that past data, we'll use it. If not, we'll have base data.
So I just want to reiterate, we do and have had academic goals across the board, and that will continue. We're adding this layer of the strategic plan says teacher clarity is the model that we are going to implement across the district, and we need to be able to track and show progress towards 100% implementation. Same with our standard assessment system. We do not have common/standard assessments across the district. And so we're having conversations of where do we have these common or standard assessments. So Benchmark ELA K5 has assessments built into it. And so we need to go through that process of, are these the ones that we're going to use as part of our standard assessment system? If so, okay, 100% K5 ELA, we have standard assessment systems. What do we have for 6 through 12? We have to build that whole system. So Benchmark ELA, we're going to start using that assessment data to track student achievement. So that's good because it exists. But in 7th grade, I don't know, social studies or something, we don't have standard assessments across all classrooms, and that's just an example. We have to build that, and that's a whole process in itself. But we want to be able to say, okay, we had 50% standard assessments across the district in 2025. Our goal is to have it at 65% at the end of the year, and so on, up to 100%. So those things are in place, but again, we kept coming back to, well, we don't have that system up and running 100%. We need to build that system first. And that's what we discovered through the design phase of doing those readiness audits.
You good?
I think so.
Okay.
Yep.
And I was just looking at the mid-year progress report form on MASB, and so it looks like really if anyone has any thoughts or feedback from the presentation tonight, and you can get that to me prior to the July workshop, and then we can see if we need to create any goals or action or things from that point. So it looks like we fill out some sort of form. So let me know if there's anything I can do. All right. I guess from there, if you're complete, we will move on to, we're looking for a motion to move into closed session under 8C of the Open Meetings Act to hear a report on local negotiations and information on the process.
I will offer that motion.
Support.
Okay. Anything else? This one does not need a roll call, 8C. Nope, she didn't put it on there, so I'm trusting that we're all in favor of going into a closed session. Show of hands, please. Okay, thank you. That's all 7. And we are taking action for anyone sticking around.
Usually there's like a 30-second delay.
Yeah, there's a little bit.
All right.
We're good? Okay, we're back in open session, and I'd like to read that first motion. That'd be great.
Sure. I move to approve the USW Local 311 3-year agreement through 2027 to 2028.
211.
What did I say?
311.
Sorry, 211.
Second.
That's my glasses.
Okay, anything further? Okay, roll call, please, Summer.
Member Lawson?
Aye.
Member Brzezinski?
Aye.
Member Hanson?
Aye.
Member Costain?
Aye.
Member Martha?
Aye.
Member Fritz?
Aye.
Member Meinhardt?
Aye. Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Up next, consideration of USW Local 207 contract.
Move to approve the USW Local 207 3-year agreement through 2027-28.
Second.
Okay, anything further? Okay, roll call again when you're ready.
Member Brzezinski?
Aye.
Member Hanson?
Aye.
Member Costain?
Aye.
Member MacArthur?
Aye.
Member Fritz?
Aye.
Member Lawson?
Aye.
Member Meinhardt?
Aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you, team, for your hard work on that. And bargaining groups. Advanced planning, I also forgot to mention, just not to forget about the self-evaluation. If everyone can have that done by next week, that would be great. That's fine. Just a reminder, and I'll send out an email too. But advanced planning, July 14th, monthly board workshop here. July 28th, our organizational meeting at 5:30 here. August 18th, monthly board workshop. August 25th, regular board meeting. August 25th.
First day of school.
Yeah, I hear it's almost here.
It is.
No.
It is.
Okay. We can adjourn. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we might have to add, we'll
business
talk,
items
add
and
some
training.
business items for the, all the stuff. All right.